Welcome back. It's Self-Care Saturday on BNC, and we continue to recognize Mental Health Awareness Month. Some of you may be triggered due to your level of stress, but what do you need to do in order to assess your stress? Dr. Charmaine Jackman, founder of the InnoSight Network, tells us what to do to help manage stress. Dr. Charmaine Jackman, it's so good to see you on this Self-Care Saturday. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you for having me. Wonderful to see you as well.
Awesome. So we're talking about stress, right? And we know we all get a lot of it. So no matter who you are, you deal with stress, some level of stress, and which in turn impacts your mental health. Talk about what type of impact stress has on your mental health.
So, one of the things that, because we talk about stress and particularly how does it manifest in the Black community. So we will talk about feeling stressed out when we're having episodes of depression or anxiety, right? So we kind of use this stress word generically. But it can be a sign of burnout where you're really feeling overwhelmed with your job demands or even your demands at home, being a parent or a caregiver. And so it's really important to check in with yourself and to understand what are your signs of stress, right? We all have our own personal signs of stress, and it's really important to know what those are so that you can help prepare and take care of yourself.
And Dr. Jackman, what measures can be used to get our stress levels in check? What do you recommend? Because sometimes we feel like, you just feel kind of crazy and you're like, nothing is changing, life is all over the place. What do you recommend people do?
So one of the things I really encourage people to just assess your stress, right? Notice again, what are your signs? So 3 things that I recommend. One is doing a daily self-check-in. I often use with clients, use a number scale. So a scale from 1 to 10, with 10 being low and 1 being low and 10 being high. Where does your stress fall along that continuum? And over time, you can start to see and start to notice, okay, these situations tend to trigger my stress level. Or you notice I'm getting into a 6 or 7. What might I need to change in my routine to help bring that back down? So really, again, assessing your stress and knowing what your level is. There are a lot of mental health apps out there that help you track your mood. So I also encourage that. That's my second strategy. So using a mental health, an app to track your mood. So they're called mood trackers. So you might decide on, maybe you're noticing you're getting angry a lot or noticing a lot of sadness. So you can check in every day with those apps and it'll kind of chart over time what your moods are, what the different types of moods you are. So that will give you a lot of information as well over time, because sometimes we tend to focus on all the negative, right, and we don't have the big picture in mind. So that helps.
So where did those triggers come from?
Yeah, go ahead.
So where did those triggers come from?
So it could be the demands of work. It could be demands, again, of parenting. But we may have had trauma from childhood, trauma from the pandemic, right? Or racial stress. So there are all these things that might contribute to your stress level or are working together to increase your level of stress. So as we know, the pandemic has been an extremely stressful time for everyone. And if you're coming in with, maybe already having financial troubles or financial worries, this pandemic may have just made that stress even worse. So there are a number of things that can cause your stress. And I think really being conscious and aware of those things are important.
And so you talk about that, right, with the pandemic. Recently, the CDC changing some guidelines, folks now not having to wear their mask and things like that. What do you think that's going to do for our mental health? Is it going to make some change? Maybe people feel better about it, make people more anxious? What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, it's going to be a mixed bag, Brittany, to be honest, because there's some people who will feel more relief, like, okay, I can go out. Maybe they felt really restricted with having to wear a mask and will feel more ease in the open. But for others, that might actually increase their anxiety. Yeah. We know that we don't, people choose to wear a mask, whether they're vaccinated or not, right? We're kind of relying on people's honesty around that. So that might actually create a lot more anxiety for folks. And again, I think for people is to notice what's coming up for you, what's triggering for you, and doing things that will help you manage those situations. So if eating out in a restaurant with people who are en masse will increase your anxiety, probably not the first thing you want to do.
Hmm. And so what would you say to those folks who are dealing with, like, feeling like they just feel heavy, some stress is literally on their shoulders right now? What would you say to them?
Mhm. Yeah, and you're so right, right? Our stress lives in our bodies. And so, one of the things that I recommend, the Mental Health America, they have a number of screening tools that can help you. Like, if that stress might be anxiety, right? It might be depression, it might be some other thing. So, using one of those screening tools on the Mental Health America app website could be a helpful way to help you assess what's going on for you. I definitely recommend some body work. So if you're feeling that stress in your body, your muscles are tight, taking some exercise, walking, doing yoga. And finally, checking in with a therapist could be really helpful to help you understand or try to figure out what might be going on for you and to teach you some tools and some strategies to manage that stress that you're having.
Awesome. And lastly, what's your mental health and self-care tip of the week?
So the weather's getting better. I know people are making plans. So I think try to, think of an adventure that you can make for yourself. So I love planning trips and
Me too.
visualizing different places that I might travel to. So I recommend that, make a plan for an adventure.
I think that is amazing because we know when you go on a trip somewhere, you just feel really, really good about yourself. Well, Dr. Jackman, thank you so much for laying all those tips for us because it is Mental Health Awareness Month, so people, they definitely need it. We appreciate your time.
Thank you. And you're